Hello viewers, today we are going to talk about the main ideas of the first topic of idea builders for IELTS examination. Our today's topic is architecture, housing, building. Today our main topic is architecture, housing, building. And under this main topic we have got some subtopic. Our first subtopic is old building. Second subtopic is modern or green building. Third topic, high-rise building, and fourth topic, housing, and last, fifth topic is state housing. Our first subtopic is old buildings. So at the very beginning, look at some positive sides of old building. Old buildings are the indicators of traditional architectural culture. Some old buildings are beautiful. Old buildings remind us glorious history of the past. Old buildings contribute to boosting tourism. Historic buildings are part of country's heritage. Old buildings are often considered to be works of art. They give a special character to the cities. Now look at some more positive sides of old buildings. Old buildings gives us insight into the lives of the people who lived in the past. We identify countries by architectural symbols like Taj Mahal in India, pyramids in Egypt. They are source of people's pride and cultural identification. They are the indicators of cities' technological advances and economic achievements. Traditional architecture is calm, orderly, and predictable. Now look at some negative sides of old buildings. At first, we can say we need increasing number of houses and offices to live and work. Some old buildings are ugly. Some old buildings are unsafe in earthquake. Sometimes old buildings remind us bad history, as for example, prisons or slavery. Usually new buildings are practical. Most of the cases, old buildings are impractical. Old buildings occupy huge amount of land. Governments are to spend money on looking after historic buildings. They need regular repairs and maintenance. Contemporary designs are up to date, having the features of simplicity. Now look at some opinions about old buildings. Some of the buildings related with history, tradition, and culture should be protected. Remaining old buildings could be placed by high-rise to accommodate more houses and offices. It is important for a metropolis to strike a balance between old and new buildings. New buildings may incorporate traditional architectural design. Our next topic is green building. At the very beginning, we will have some positive sides of green buildings. At the very beginning, we can say green buildings are popular because they are designed to be environmentally friendly. Modern buildings have the features of automated ventilation control. They have high efficiency heating equipment. Green buildings use the idea of rooftop planting. Lighting is controlled using motion detection sensors. They should use less energy and produce less waste. Modern insulation can make houses more energy efficient. Solar and wind power can be used to generate electricity. Rainwater and wastewater can be recycled and used to flush toilets. They can come from natural and renewable sources. Modern buildings make the best use of natural lights. Locally sourced materials are used to reduce environmental impact of transportation. Reused materials prevent the environmental degradation. And modern buildings opt for minimal waste wherever it is possible. Now, we will talk about some negative sides of old buildings. So, at the very beginning, we can tell that green buildings are costly to build. They need to be located in sunny position. Materials can cost a lot than a standard building. More expensive than conventional buildings. Funding for projects from banks is very difficult to get. Materials are not always readily available as traditional materials. Finding artisans and service providers specializing in green design is quite challenging. Green building can be more complex and time consuming to build. Homeowners don't have full control of the decrease or increase of the temperature. Our next topic is high-rise buildings. At the very beginning, we'll see some advantages of high-rise buildings. The first advantage we can say, in large cities, land is scarce and valuable. Tall buildings occupy only a small area of land, providing lots of floor space. Many high-rise buildings contribute to the area's vibrancy. They can withstand powerful earthquakes. New buildings provide higher standards of accommodation and convenience. A high-rise building can contribute to the image of an area. They are symbol of that city and reflect the culture of the society. Now we'll discuss the negative impact of high-rise buildings. At the very beginning, we can tell it is regrettable that modern cities look the same. Modern buildings ruin the distinguishing features of a city. Many buildings have no real character at all. High-rise buildings ruin the view of natural features. High-rises causes a negative impact on the view. Spoiling the overall appearance of skylines is the result of developing skyscrapers. Developing high-rise buildings make cities and lifestyles more heterogeneous. They can also intensify the social problems and society standards may be sacrificed. Now we'll talk about housing shortage. There are some causes of housing shortage. At the very beginning, we can tell that overpopulation is one of the main causes. Lack of balance between supply and demand in housing market is another cause. Shortage of existing houses. Internal and external migration also cause housing shortage. Centralization of the official activities can cause housing scarcity. Now, what is the solution of housing shortage? Let's look at some solutions of housing shortage. They should be provided affordable rental houses. Home ownership initiatives should be taken. Low-income families should be provided subsidized loans to assist people in meeting their housing needs. Government should introduce mass construction. Now we'll talk about the advantages of state housing. So there are some positive sides of the houses given by the state or council. The first one, state housing helps people who can't afford to buy their own house. Governments construct buildings in a planned way. Council housing saves space of the city. Housing is one of the basic rights of the citizens, so should be provided by the government. Number of the homeless people is increasing. Governments maintain a standard when construct building. Government building adds a special feature to a city. Now look at some negative aspects of state housing. So the first we can tell, people become dependent on the government. People have got little personal choice. People are to rely on the government to look after them. Some people think state houses are often made with poor quality materials. People have no incentive to earn money and buy their own home. Most of the state houses are identical and bored. Today we have discussed main ideas of the topic related with architecture and housing. In our next video, we will focus on arts and culture. Hope you will watch that video. Thanks for watching.